Hello everyone, this is the clerk with the mouth, David C., and today we're going to talk about The Suicide Squad, not to be confused with Suicide Squad. James Gunn, what can I say? He can do no wrong. I mean, Guardians of the Galaxy 2 was kinda but it was still pretty good. So Marvel fucked him over. He went over to DC, made this movie. Marvel's like, oh, we're fucking dumb. Please come back. So he's gonna come back for Guardians 3 because they're not as dumb as they originally thought. Watch this on HBO Max. I wanted to go to the theater, but who's got the time or the money, and I can't stand people anymore, so it's nice to watch it at home. It's a smaller screen, but fuck, it's quiet. The wife and I watched it, and we both really enjoyed it. I think it's a little too long. It's a little over 2 hours, and usually that's fine with comic book movies, but this one just kind of dragged a little, mostly the first half hour. There will be some spoilers with this review, so stop now if you haven't watched it yet, or keep listening if you don't really care. But if there's one thing about the Suicide Squad, you know a lot of the characters are gonna die. That's why they use lesser known characters, because they can use them and then kill them immediately for comedic effect, and no one will give a shit. So, you know that's gonna happen, and it just kind of feels like a waste of time. Biggest shocker is killing Michael Rooker off as soon as possible, because we know he and James Gunn have a love affair. I mean, who doesn't love the Rook? So I can't blame him, but still, I was really shocked by that. We knew everyone else was going to die, except for Harley Quinn, of course. And I love Margot Robbie, but her portrayal has been kind of annoying, which, you know, in the comics, certain versions of Harley Quinn, mostly her solo run from the past few years, she's just over the top, annoying, and they're obviously just trying to, you know, copy off Deadpool, which wasn't that really what Lady Deadpool already was? Was basically just Harley Quinn. Breaking the fourth wall, being extremely violent, comedic, blah blah blah. This one, you can tell James Gunn knows what he's doing, and he used her just enough. The costume definitely is the first one to actually look more like classic Harley Quinn. Yeah, they teased it in like one brief scene in the first Suicide Squad, but it was nice to see something more throughout the movie that was, you know, similar to what she should be wearing. Listen to a man telling what a woman should be wearing. Go figure. God, I'm a piece of shit. But anyway. I like some of the casting choice. Not casting choice, but the characters that they chose. That's why James Gunn was perfect for this movie, because he likes using lesser known characters, and they pretty much gave him free range on whoever he wanted. He really wanted to use Polka Dot Man. I've never been too big of a fan of him, you know, funny, haha, but I don't know if I like what they did with him. It got some cheap laughs and some sentimental value here and there, but for the most part, I could have taken or left them, or however you want to say words. Words are hard. I'm just gonna occasionally go, because that's what I do when I don't know where my brain is going, or what the fuck I'm talking about. Anyway. See, told you. Also, Captain Boomerang, I'm glad they brought him back, same actor, and then they killed him immediately, so that was also kind of shitty. I really liked him in the first Suicide Squad. Now, I say first, this is the Suicide Squad, and it's not a sequel, it's more of a soft reboot, because it does have some of the same characters or actors, so it's just kind of references the first one, but doesn't necessarily let what happened in that movie tie into this one, you know what I mean? And that's kind of how the comics are, and that's why I like these Suicide Squad movies, because the comics aren't necessarily canon with everything else. It's just get a bunch of random villains you wouldn't normally see, let alone you would never see them, you know, team together, and just go out, and the mission doesn't even really matter. I mean, it's kind of like just getting them there, you know? it's a MacGuffin, more or less. You know, the whole reason why they're together in Task Force X. Of course, it's Amanda Waller, and having no powers or anything, but she is just one of the biggest villains in all of DC, just because she is such a cunt. And Viola Davis, I'm pretty sure that's who plays her. I'm just doing all this off the cuff. I didn't look up anything beforehand, so my brain just doesn't even know what's going on. But she is so good in this, and just so evil for no reason, and I love it so much. Big spoiler alert for the final battle and everything. Having Starro the Conqueror, which I'm pretty sure they showed it in the trailer, so I guess it's not really a spoiler, but I loved how it looked. It was really fun, really great. A character yells, "We have a kaiju!" So it was great seeing a giant monster and them fighting that. That's kind of where the first Suicide Squad faltered with the main villain. It's like I can't even remember who the villain was. That's how much I didn't really care. Like, I liked a lot of the characters and the casting for those characters in the first Suicide Squad, but just the overall story and the villain and the final fight all pretty much fell flat. And there's like a twist partway in that I just didn't really care for. And yes, the biggest problem with that movie, a lot of people, had a problem with, was Jared Leto's Joker. I personally think Jared Leto would be a great Joker. It's just all depends on who writes the character and the design they chose for him with the tattoos and stuff. You take the tattoos away, and I think you look great. I could show you many different panels direct from the comics, and the many different outfits he has in the movie actually are almost identical to those panels from the comic, just minus the stupid tattoos. But yeah, the writing for him just wasn't that great. I mean, people compare him to Heath Ledger. He had Christopher Nolan directing him. Of course he was going to be amazing. Also, it was Heath Ledger. So if Christopher Nolan directed, Suicide Squad, of course it would have been better. So that's not even a fair comparison. That's also just making him, and they cut a lot of his footage out of the movie too. So just having him be part of an already team-up movie, he doesn't get much screen time, and so of course he's not going to be that good. Now, don't get me started on Justice League and the Snyder Cut and all that bullshit with him at the end, whatever, don't even get me started on Justice League. That's a whole nother episode of me bitching and complaining, so we won't even get to that right now, but basically, the Suicide Squad, definitely worth watching. Like I said, could trim out maybe a half hour here and there. But it's funny, it's violent, it's over the top. It's nice to see a rated R DC movie. But rated R because it's funny and over the top violent, not because it's trying to be dark and edgy. Like Zack Snyder. So, that's pretty much it. For comic book recommendations, I can't give any direct ones just off the top of my head, but like I said, you pick up any run, and you're going to find some fun stuff. They're easy to pick up, you don't need, like I said, the continuity is not necessarily a problem, so you can just pick up some random issues and enjoy them. It doesn't even really matter, like, what's going on. You can just pick up an issue and see a lot of cool people on there. Blah, blah, blah. Now, the biggest thing with both movies, Suicide Squad and The Suicide Squad, are, and I'm kind of a hypocrite when it comes to this, a lot of the things I like about those two movies are things that I usually bash and hate on other comic book movies. Especially characters not looking how they're supposed to, changing costumes, race baiting, any of that bullshit. I could get into all that, but for some reason with these movies using lesser known characters and just not being serious at all, just having, just being fun, dumb fun. So I can forgive a lot of that shit. And it doesn't really matter. So, yeah. But that's about it. This is going to be a quick episode. I know I don't do Comics Are Garbage very often, or at all, really, but I'm hoping to do some more here and there, just quick little episodes like this, so you can just pop in, listen to me stutter and slur, and go, and if you trim all that bullshit out, it'll be a nice 50-second episode. More like a preview, but I'm rambling on and on, so like I said, go watch it. Suicide Squad, the first one, still holds up. Not perfect, but I was surprised by how much I liked it. People were surprised that I liked it at all. They'd expect me to hate it for reasons I already stated, but the Suicide Squad is definitely head and shoulders over the fucking first movie. So, gonna stop saying so, and yeah, we're gonna end this one, so god damn it. This has been the Clerk with the Mouth, David C., and I'll see you next time on Comics Are Garbage. Alright, you thought we were done, but no. I listened back and realized there was a lot more I wanted to talk about, but without taking notes or anything beforehand, I just rabble and end up forgetting all of them. Idris Elba, one of the most difficult to pronounce fucking names. I love him, and I'm really glad they put him in this. Originally, he was going to be replace Will Smith as Deadshot, and they decided to make him Bloodsport, because goddamn, there are so many characters that are similar, they really didn't need to replace him. And then this way they can use Will Smith possibly later, so that's really nice. I'm glad that they did that. Plus, Idris Elba just brought like his own kind of personality and everything to Bloodsport. He could be funny, he could be a badass, he could do it all. How I didn't mention John Cena, I don't know. I mean, making him just a violent douchebag in the name of peace is like so fucking perfect. And you knew this character was going to be great because before it even came out, they were already, promoting a solo TV series starring him as Peacemaker. And god damn it, it is going to be so good. He's worth watching, the Suicide Squad, like, just on his own. I don't want to spoil much, because it has to be seen to be believed. He is so good in the role, taking a nothing character and just making it his own, and fuck. And then we have the complete opposite with Flagg. He was meh in the first movie, meh in this. I'm not even sure if he was played by the same actor. I didn't bother to look it up, because he is such a pointless character, especially if Bloodsport is supposed to be the leader. There's no reason for him to be in it. So, some of the smaller roles, like TDK by Nathan Fillion. He was basically supposed to be Arm Fall Off Boy. Why didn't they just make him Arm Fall Off Boy? Especially since he was just gonna die immediately. I don't know why they had to try to make him a new character. It's stupid. Arm Fall Off Boy. I loved him, but then he started becoming so ridiculous and getting more comic book appearances, and people kind of just killed the joke. That just the one and done would have been perfect. But still, it was funny, the TDK brief part, but fuck, man, I wanted Arm Fall Off Boy. Just pulls his arm off and beats people with it. That's a superpower. Amazing. Not amazing, Pete Davidson. I forget what character he plays, don't care. But he dies pretty much immediately before he can be too goddamn annoying and ugly, so it's okay. Then there's Sean Gunn. He does the mocap for Weasel, and that thing is just disturbing looking, and I'm glad it wasn't in the movie that long. But he also plays Calendar Man in a quick scene, and I hate that it's just a throwaway scene, and he's just loud and obnoxious. Calendar Man, yeah, is kind of a dumb character, but in certain stories, like The Long Halloween with Batman, he is kind of disturbing in those comics and in the animated movie that I'll talk about in another episode. So I really hated to see them throw him away like that, and I hope they actually use Calendar Man in a more serious role played by someone else later, in a different movie. But like I said, the continuity of this movie and DC just in general is so fucked up it doesn't even matter, so Ratcatcher 2 was good, had some sentimental things. Not really a joke character, one of the more serious characters, gets a little too dramatic at times. I like that's Ratcatcher 2, and they gotta explain why and about her father and all that, just to make it more obscure, I guess. I would have preferred they used a dog welder, but I don't think that that character would translate well to screen, so... but give me a dog welder. Give me a dog welder movie, please, for the love of God. I'm not even going to talk about it anymore. If you don't know who I'm talking about, go ahead and Google dog welder, and you're welcome. The Thinker was kind of pointless. Didn't really serve much of a purpose in the fucking movie. He just kind of looked dumb. He was there in a scene just to get the team from the bar to the lab. They could have just broke in or something instead. His whole character, there's just no reason for it. And lastly, I just want to mention King Shark. I preferred the terrifying version of him. It was either on Arrow or The Flash, one of the CW shows. And for a TV show, the CG on that looked pretty great, and he was really scary looking. He's just short and chubby, and definitely there just for comedic relief. And he was pretty funny throughout the movie, but the fact that he was voiced by Sylvester Stallone just makes it so much better. It's good shit. But yeah, I just wanted to run through a few of the characters like that, just as a tag on to this episode. But alright, it's really over now, I promise. Okay, we'll see you next time on Comics Are Garbage. For real this time. I'm serious. Okay, bye.